I'm going to show you today just how fast and easy it is to build whole dashboards and charts in TrueChart using our template library. What you see here on the screen is a simple structure chart with a waterfall delta, a percentage delta, a 3-line header, and 2 areas for report annotation and commenting. This chart behaves like any other chart that you know from Qlik already. So when all selections are applied, you can use the chart itself to do selections, and so on and so forth. So nothing new. Let's try to rebuild this now using our template library and TrueChart. So the first step here is, of course, to add TrueChart, the TrueChart object, to the screen. We give it a reasonable size. And what you see on the right-hand side of the screen is that the whole data management looks pretty much the same as in any other QlikSense object. So what we're going to do is, and we prepared some master items for this, we're making the same chart that we have built before with product groups. So I add the product group into my object here, and of course I also need some measures. So I take the forecast, the budget, the delta budget, and the delta budget in percent. I already know that for the product group I want to have a total, and I also want to have a limitation for just showing the top 10, so having 11 entries including rest. And this is basically it for the data configuration. I can give this whole data context. I'll say a little bit more on what a data context is in a minute. A proper name. We'll see why we need that later. And go on. So this is all for the data preparation part. We now have 1 dimension and 4 measures. I can now apply templates or a template to this object. So if I go to template here, what opens up is the template library that is available on the environment that I'm in. So all these templates have either been shipped by us as developers, as TrueChart suppliers, or this might also contain templates that you have created yourself, your colleagues have created, or anyone in the organization. Now I know that I first need to have like a common layout for my grid. So I just take the very first one because I know that this is a good one and it pretty much contains everything I need already. So I see I have my 3-line header where I can now say I want to make this for my ABC corporation and have a very easy access to my IBCS conform titles if you want to do that. If I want to enter text, I need to save my object first, and I just need to confirm that. So after this is saved, I can now apply the template for my chart in the area that was created in the middle. I now want to build a structure chart, so I can just search for templates with structure charts, and I prepared one which is called structure chart my version 2. And I will use this now to apply this here. And remember that we first renamed our data context to product group. This is because we can now choose which of the data contexts that are available we want to use to map our information. And the great thing is, as the names in the template happen to match the names that we have chosen here in our application are the same, so they have been pre-populated. If this would have not been the case, the only thing I would need to do is to map the data. So I see here on the left-hand side with the template, it expects to be working. So we have 1 dimension and we have 4 measures: forecast, budget, delta budget, and delta budget percent. And now I need to map this to the measures that I put in. And as I said, they have the exact same name, so it automatically matched it here already. So the only thing left to do is hit apply, and my chart is done. Everything is already properly scaled to each other and fully functional. Now let's say I want to put this even 1 step further. I want to build a little dashboard where we have 2 structure charts that interact with each other. What we use here for is our layout editor. So the whole TrueChart object is grid-based. I now can go into my layout editor. You probably know this from Excel, ABC, 1, 2, 3. Now I go to the level where I want to add a new column. So I moved up, and now I want to have here another column that I add just by clicking leave layout monitor. Now I got a second cell, and see how everything's scaled down properly. Space is optimized automatically by TrueChart to get the most out of the available screen size. So the next thing we have to do is adding data to our object. So we go back to the edit mode, and in the edit mode, we can now create another data context. So that means we can have more data context in the same object. So I'm adding the new data context. I call this one office because I want to have now the same numbers per office, and see how all the other information was just copied from the data context before. So the only thing I need to do is, while having this data context active here, I just drag the office in and say replace product group. I'm doing the same thing now. I also want to have totals here. I'm going to do a limitation on the top 10, just in case. I don't know how many offices we have, but just in case that is not getting more than 10 plus rest. I'll probably also want to increase the size of the object now, because we now have two structure charts next to each other. So let's go back into this mode here and apply a template. And again, I'm looking for the same structure chart. And now the only thing I need to do is that from the existing data contexts that I have, I pick the one with office. I say the dimension here is also already existing in this data context, and it's called office. All the other expressions have been automatically mapped. And if I apply now, I have the chart ready. So now I can already do my analysis and say, hey, the canned food delta of -9, where is it coming from? Which offices contributed in which area to that? And if I want to comment that, I can just do that as simple and say, for instance, I have something to say here. I give it a format, an annotation, and after creating the annotation, I can move it to the value that I've been talking about, let's say these 82 here. And that's it. This is how you create objects, dashboards by using our templates. These templates are also cross-platform, so everything we have seen right now is also possible in Power BI, JADOX, and Excel. But that's for another session. Thank you.